One thing people don't understand about hemp.
It's irresistible in so many ways. People don't understand the science behind the crop, that the fact that this is a gold mine that India is sitting on, that a BMW's inner paneling is made using hemp plastic. When Ford built its first vehicle, it was designed to run on biofuel that was made from hemp oil.
People are constantly under stress and anxiety. How can hemp help them?
Well, it's very clear. It's that one thing in your pocket that you can actually walk with, offer you instant relief if consumed medically in the right way.
And it's legal, right?
Of course, it's legal. 100% licensed, formulated, safe. No, we've been there.
Before we delve deep into cannabis and the other forms of plants that exist, who are you, Mr. Chirag, and what do you do?
All right, Neil. So I am Chirag Tikchundani. I'm one of 7 co-founders that started Bombay Hemp company way back in 2013. And currently serving as the CEO of the company alongside all my other co-founders that are all CXO level. And everything from research to retail is a responsibility, so to say. I am personally someone who thrives of selling something out of the unknown. And that's the reason why I'm in Bohico, because when we started the company, we weren't just starting a company. We knew we were giving birth to an entirely new industry in the country, one that was stigmatized, one that was taboo, but and that's the thrill of it, right? To sort of sell something out of the unknown, put a plant that can offer so much, roti, kapra, makan, dawai, all out of a single crop, offer so much and put it on the charts and put it on the maps of India.
So let's talk about that.
Yes.
Roti, kapra, makan, dawai.
That's right.
What does that mean?
So just to give you a bit of a breakdown and for everyone listening in, cannabis is a plant that has 5 aspects to it. Okay, so 5 parts to it. One is the fiber. So just as an FYI, I'm wearing a hemp shirt. So the plant is a 12 feet tall plant. It grows in 90 days. And it grows, it's one of the fastest growing plants on the planet. So it has a fiber, it has a seed, it has a leaf, it has a flower, and it has the resin of the flower. So let me explain to you what exactly each of this does. So the fiber is great for textiles. In fact, the inner fiber makes for great softwood. So if you crush it into wood chip-like structures, you can actually make something known as hempcrete, which is similar to concrete. So that addresses the makan sort of thing. And whereas the seed of the plant offers nutrition and food. So that's the second part of the plant. Now, the leaf is known as Bhang in our country. Bhang is classified as an intoxicant as per the states where it is or has a flourishing ecosystem. So Bhang is the leaf of the plant. The ganja is referred to as the flower of the plant. And charas is what is the resin of the plant. So these are the 5 parts of the plant. And that's how they fit into roti, kapra, makan, dawai, all. So because out of the flower and out of bhang, which is the leaf, you can make medicine. And from the rest of it, you can actually make clothes, food, and like I said, hempcrete.
Got it. How many of these parts are legal and how many are illegal?
Sure. So the NDPS Act of India, which is the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act of India 1985, classifies the flower and the resin of the flower, which is ganja and charas, as narcotic. But it explicitly states that the seed, fiber, and the leaves are exempt from the law of narcotics. So the 3 aspects that at least Bohico is working towards and the industry can literally like thrive on today is the seed, leaf, and fiber of the plant. And these are beneficial in various ways for the end consumer, because that's what really matters. For example, hemp as a fabric is a blend of, linen and cotton. It's not exactly a blend of cotton and linen, but it looks like it. The characteristics of the fabric are that. For example, linen comes from a plant called flax, which is not innate to India. And cotton, we know, India is a cottonized nation. So to offer a blend in a fabric that provides both is the rarity and the uniqueness of hemp as a fabric. With respect to the nutrition and the seed of the plant, one can actually take to omega-3, 6, and 9 like no other superfood offers. So it's regarded as a superfood. And it offers 34 grams of protein every 100 grams you consume. So for the end consumer, from a nutrition point of view, that is another sort of benefit. And with respect to Bhang, which is the leaf of the plant, let me tell you that in India, Bhang is classified under Ayurveda, right? So the Atharva Veda had the mention of Bhang, aka Vijaya, and look at how symbolic the forefathers of this country, sort of who gave all of this to us, have called it. It's called Vijaya, which is a plant for victory. And another interesting point is that hemp or cannabis it originated in the Himalayas. So it was a shared crop between Tibet, China, India. And in China, this plant is actually referred to as ma, right? They call it ma. And that actually, I was on an expedition in 2017. We were sort of nomads in China trying to understand how the hemp ecosystem works. And that's when partners there sort of gave us this reference point. But it is in Ayurveda one of the most potent analgesics. So that Ayurveda for all of us is it works for me, it doesn't work for you, it works for my mom, it doesn't work for my sister kind of a plant, right? I mean, Ayurveda is that kind of I would say, traditional method of medicine. But what it clearly lacks is a potent analgesic. Never will you take an Ayurvedic medicine and say, I've got an instant gratification of it. Cannabis proves to be that solution in Ayurveda to offer potency to a point where in 20-25 minutes you start feeling the effect, which is unlike any Ayurvedic medicine. So that's why for the consumer, I think it's definitely worth giving it a shot for alternative therapy.
Got it. What is the mention of Vijaya in Indian mythology and culture?
So in the Atharva Veda, or in all the ancient texts, we've got the mention of cannabis as one of the 5 sacred herbs in Hindu mythology. It is such a powerful sort of caregiving plant that whether you have digestion issues or you need certain amount of vitality from a sexual libido enhancement, a pain alleviation sort of plant, as well as a stress relief plant. This is a substance, whether used in an extract form or a powdered form, that can actually help your entire body with these kind of sort of ailments that it addresses. So honestly said, it's one of the all-pervasive sort of plants that exist, and the history has it, the legend has it, that it sort of caters to all these needs and more, because as Bhang as a leaf of the plant offers all of this, but the plant altogether offers 25,000 proven applications. And if really worked towards well, in a formal setup to sort of monetize the plant, one can make $1 billion industry in India of it, where it really belonged.
Is that where Bohico aims to get?
Absolutely. I mean, the one thing that we've done right is stayed the path, and we've stayed it for 11 years now. and counting. And definitely not to just see this day. We want to see a lot more. Want to make Bohico a household name for sure. Want to make 100 crore brand minimum in the next couple of years. And I think we have set up really well to be able to see that day. It took some time. It took a lot of warming up, and India certainly hasn't taken to the plant just as the mature economies have. US, Europe, South Korea, Australia, Africa. These guys are really monetizing the plant, and how, when, like I said, it all first began here. I mean, they say, right, the Beatles came to experience the plant in the mountainous regions of India.
Why do you think India is behind on its own legacy when it comes to hemp?
So I think I don't mean to sort of brag here, but the path is really treacherous and has been. No one dared to pick up the law, read it like, let's say, we did, and took to identifying that sliver of sort of, I would say, sliver of hope that there was. Because, in our law, it's very clear that the leaves are exempt, as I said. But it took a lot of research. It took a lot of, curation of different state governments to be able to get where we are. I'll be frank, Ministry of Ayush became really prominent in our country between the 2015 and 2018 time. And beyond that, there is so much more exposure. There is so much more, I would say, research that is done and prominence that Ayurveda has sort of taken in our country. And that gave us the fillip as well. That was our sort of ikigai in 2019, to go to work, to be able to sort of provide the medicinal value from cannabis in the right way with a research and data-backed approach. Because Bohico, if anything, is a product backed by science. So we want to make sure that we're not just selling something which is, hey, try it and see where it lands. That's not the end.
Let's talk about that. Product backed by science, and you delved into the medicinal aspect of it.
Yeah.
Who have you helped so far?
So actually, it's funny you ask, because there are so many anecdotes that I have in my mind. There are patients that are currently battling cancer that are extending their life periods because of cannabis-based medicine, because cannabis is really effective in palliative care, right? And these are personal stories, by the way. Like, we all have near and dear ones. We all have our grandparents that might be aging. And to friends who finally want to bite, I take the opportunity and I get remarkable sort of feedback from what we're able to offer. So chronic pain, cancer-based patients, people that are going through mental therapy, that have actually that need a stress relief after those therapy sessions or as a result of those therapy sessions. New age founders who have high stress environments at work, they know that they're accountable for so much. Before going into important meetings, we have a product by the name of Bliss, which is specifically for anxiety. And it's recommended first thing post-breakfast so that it metabolizes well in the body. So that is actually something that keeps you composed as well as improves focus and concentration. It's a pure CBD product. And I think at this point, I also want to sort of give the the distinction between CBD, THC.
Yes, ma'am.
So THC is actually the component in the plant which is responsible for getting anybody high, right? So let's dial back to what I was saying about the flower. So the three parts of the plant that have a certain amount of THC is the flower, the resin, as well as the leaf, which is bhang, ganja, and charas. Now, it's very fine, the lines of the law, because while ganja and charas are sort of classified narcotic, we've got bhang that has the presence of THC, which is allowed to sort of be prescribed by medical practitioners. But you have to have a doctor prescribe those medicines if you are ingesting them in your body, any bhang-based medicine. So THC is what sort of gets you the euphoric value, whereas CBD is meant to be a component of the plant or a compound of the plant that offers stress relief. It is also proven to work well in certain proportions for pain, but largely is what gives you a certain amount of stress relief is CBD. And these are the two compounds that that are blown out of proportion in the space of cannabis. A lot of people identify with these compounds, and they're truly the most sort of magnanimous of all the cannabinoids that are there. There are 117 or more cannabinoids in the plant, but CBD and THC are the two that stand out because the most amount of research has been conducted on these two compounds.
Got it. Just to clear up on some terminologies here, we understand bhang and charas that you mentioned, and obviously hemp. But if you were to just broaden this a little bit, what's the difference between ganja? What's the difference between hemp, cannabis, marijuana, and hemp? Hemp I said.
I think it can be.
I'm just thinking because there are a couple of things that we always use. Anecdotally, okay, there's weed that we use.
Yes.
There's sativa, there's indica, right?
Yeah.
So how would you classify all these terms and what is what?
Yeah, super. Good point to start, actually. So cannabis, everything that you just said is all cannabis.
Okay.
All the 4-5 things you uttered is all cannabis. Cannabis is the plant, and it's the scientific name for the plant. And there are species of cannabis. So to offer some context, we're talking about essentially like a cat family. A cat family has a tiger and has a domesticated cat. So the tiger of this would be, I would say, the marijuanas, the weeds, which are wild and extremely potent, so to say. And the domesticated cat is hemp or cannabis sativa, right? So cannabis indica is marijuana or the likes. Cannabis sativa is the industrial side of the plant, okay? And today, there is a lot of cross-reference in science because there are hybrids, right? A lot of people wish to consume high CBD, low THC plants for various ailments. And research has proven that sort of helps people. Similarly, high THC and low CBD. So there's a lot of hybridization that has also taken place. But at large, this is the cannabis family. Cannabis has cannabis indica, sativa, and rudralis. Rudralis is more like the ornamental cousin. But indica and sativa, what we're talking about, indica offers medical and recreational value, which has typically, so even physiologically, cannabis indica is about 6 feet tall. It's a highly bushy plant. It has a certain amount of THC, more often than not, more THC than CBD. Come to cannabis sativa, it is a 12 feet tall, grows rapidly in about 90 to 120 days, requires 4 times lesser water than cotton does, and is typically used for industrial purposes like fiber and seed.
Got it. There's a saying in the West where sativa is the one that gets you high, and indica is the one, it's like in the couch, it's a more of a sedative, right? So how does that differentiate?
Well, like I said, there's so much in the States and in the West. There are such large grow houses now that sativa and indica are just terms because a lot of people have done a lot of hybridization. Yes, it's true that there exists a large recreational space. And what's really picking up in the West is recreational wellness as an industry. So you walk into, a dispensary that's dispensing cannabis, and you will have bud tenders that will actually guide you through how any of this can serve your sexual needs well or your stress needs well. Whereas in India, and what Bohico is trying to really do is have a very methodical way to the science. We want to be able to break it down for consumers to say that there is a certain amount of cannabinoids in this solution that you're going to get. And based on a prescription and a dosage in that prescription is how you consume the plant. So there is, yes, a recreational sort of space that exists in the world, but India and Bohico and the entire industry out here is largely following the path that countries like Israel have actually laid. Those guys are doing some phenomenal work. And since it's a country which is so sort of, I would say, reserved to all its solutions, Israel is the one sort of example where a lot of cannabis is being consumed, but medically, scientifically, through the right ways. So that is what we sort of ape in our own way. But I would say that we've got, by the grace of God, such a beautiful confluence of traditional medicine and cannabis that we have the power to sort of take over this entire space if done right, specifically because we have so much of the market here and the potential in states in the north and east of India to actually export this.
Got it. Before we get deeper into the scope of the market and the cultural exposure to cannabis in India, a very specific question: is cannabis the new tobacco?
So it depends on where you're actually seeing it from. In India, it's miles to go, if you ask me, because Bohico doesn't sort of look at anything beyond the medical realm of offering this plant to the consumers. We also feel that it's our responsibility to be able to deliver this plant in the right manner because, truth be told, we don't want this to crash in a way where 20-year-old somethings once again come back in 10 years to start something but don't have too much to fall back or rely on. Because I think we're also very cognizant of the fact that if a large founding team in India whose choice was to do it fast or to do it right, and they picked to do it right, has come together, it's now our responsibility to make sure this is a successful space for people to enter, for people to consume. Because even today, Neil, I'll be frank, when we send out small hampers, let's say during Diwali, Christmas, New Year's, to anybody and everybody we want to sort of have break the ice with cannabis medically, it's very difficult for people to take to these medicines because there's so much innate stigma, man. Like, it's unreal that an application-based product requires trust to be conveyed, right? So India really has a perception issue. And what we're trying to do our level best at is demystify that, to let them know that, listen, here's a product, like I said, backed by science. One of the biggest things that we pride on is to show for data. We currently have 4 clinical trials that have concluded. 1 in arthritis pain, 1 for eczema or skin-based disorders, 1 for digestive health, and 1 for sleep and stress. These are 4 concluded trials based off Indian formulations developed by Bohico, run in institutes of national significance in the country. And we're proud to have facilitated a trial even at the Tata Memorial Center right here, right in Mumbai. That's a trial that is on cancer that is being run by Professor Barve, who's the director of the institute. And God's been kind to give us certain ins in our career so far, where from the likes of Mr. Tata blessing us to him opening the right kind of doors for us has actually merited in so many ways.
Got it. I would love to hear from you directly. Who are the specific people you can recall have benefited from using hemp products in the medical space?
Yeah, sure. So there have been, like I said, I'm sure you're not looking at names, but
specific instances where there's a real before and after story.
Yes. So we have, and we call them fans of Bohico. So we have some people that are actually frequenting our events, whether we do them in Delhi or Bangalore or Mumbai, that could not were not mobile whatsoever after bad road accidents, that have started taking our pain management medicines, and now they are able to walk well. They were not able to speak as well. They're now able to speak well. Those who were not able to walk are now walking well. So there was an instance, and it's all over our Instagram and our outlets of communication, that there was an instance of one of the younger guys who had unfortunately met with a pretty bad accident, who's now taken to Bohico-based medicine, consumes the nutrition. So seed offers powder, which has 43 grams of protein in every 100 grams. So nutrition, along with pain medicines, that have actually given him a 360-degree revival to his life. Similarly, we know of a 104-year-old first marathoner of India, who actually uses our arthritis pain oil, which, by the way, is the most prominent product that defines us in the market. It's a product by the name of Glide. We do, that's like topping the charts. Again, it's a pain management oil, which one can use on their joints for arthritis. So she uses and 2 years ago, she was 104. She's still going strong. She's the first marathoner that India saw. She uses our products. Other than that, we've heard of many stories where people are sleeping better because of the product that I spoke of, which has been trialed as well. So it's again a combination of THC, CBD, but based off doctor prescription only. And by doctors, I mean, we operate with the 7:3 sort of ratio of Ayurvedic doctors to modern medicine doctors in the country. So a lot of these doctors are now comfortable prescribing cannabis-based solutions as a complement or an adjuvant to the existing pharmaceutical treatments that people may be taking to. But yeah, I mean, these are some of the cases amongst a whole bunch. Like, I have so many. My own Masi, right, my mom's sister, is consumed. She couldn't walk. She's about 78 years of age, and she couldn't walk because of how swollen, due to a certain amount of, I would say, water retention in the knees. And now she goes down for walks twice a day. She goes for family holidays when she would sort of, cringe at moving around. So I think stories are dime a dozen. But what's really sort of gratifying is the fact that every day we go into office, we have one review or feedback of somebody, and it could also be somebody who has had a muscle injury, or it's also someone who is just come out of some kind of a mental therapy that he or she were taking because of a life event that took place, and that they've taken to our anxiety medicine or our stress-based medicine. So it's fantastic, and that is really what are the perks of working at Bohico. It's not just the business side of things. It's not what you just get back and take home. What stays inside you is these stories. And that is what is the most gratifying aspect of my job.
You mentioned clinical trials a couple of times.
Yeah.
For a layman, what does that mean?
Okay. So clinical trials are essentially studies that prove that the medicine that you are sort of canvassing or advocating is safe and non-toxic, right? So human-grade clinical trials is basically, the concept is that studies are conducted on humans, and there is, let's say, a new medicine that you're looking to launch in the market, which you first want to prove is efficacious, safe, and non-toxic. You run it through, let's say, a 50-patient trial or a 200-patient trial or upwards of that, right? I mean, all of us know how the COVID vaccines were run through certain trials before they came to the market. So just as that. Now, with cannabis, it becomes all the more important to do that because, one, let's face it, there is a certain level of stigma that people have, although it's, if not better, as good as opioids, which is what is ruling the pharma world, because cannabinoids are meant to bind with the CB1 and CB2 receptors in the endocannabinoid system that exists in a human body. So it's like a karmic crop. They were meant to come together. So once you're able to define the right kind of formulation, the right kind of dosing in a plethora of patients that have a different, let's say, body weight, height, they have ailments which are common, but varying degrees of, let's say, pain, right? From mild, moderate, all the way to acute pain. So when you run a trial, you're able to come to a conclusion if this trial is safe, non-toxic, and to what degree is it efficacious, and what are some of the teething issues that are part of running a clinical trial. For example, at the beginning, if you want to get your dosing right? So every week there are certain visits that doctors or the coordinator of the trial has with the patient. They walk in every week, they give us feedback as to how the medicine is working based on the doctor's prescription and dosage, and this carries on for, let's say, 8 weeks at the minimum, all the way up to a year long, maybe 2 years long as well, depending on what your claims are for the trial, what you're really conveying to the end customer, so on and so forth. So that is what a clinical trial is. And like I said, we've done it on 4 of our medicines now, and we plan on doing certain trials that are now going to. So there are 2 kind of trials. There's an open label single arm trial, and there is a double-blinded placebo trial, among many other trials, but these 2 are what I know of. So we've conducted open label single arm, which is basically that there is no yardstick of comparison. It's just to say that if this medicine works and if it works safely on a human body. What the pharma world has also done is they have comparatives that they study. Let's say a pain medicine that we have from cannabis is compared with a pain medicine that the allopathic world canvasses as well. And one is able to sort of provide distinction on how they work one against the other. So those are double-blinded placebo trials where, the patients that are undergoing the trial do not know what medicines they're taking, but they just have to respond on what is better, A or B. So that is it's quite a detailed sort of world, and we're commerce grads, so we didn't understand it at the first go. But credit to some of my co-founders and the team that's behind this. They do a phenomenal job at even breaking it down in a layman world.
So you said double-blinded placebo trials, right? Does that mean like some of those pills that they're taking are also sugar pills? Is that what it is, or is it the comparison between Ayurvedic and modern medicine?
Usually, yes, it's following some kind of health-based guidelines, the current standard of care medicines. It's not necessarily just sugar pills, but yeah, it could be placebos, so to say. Something that is concealed the formulation of which is not revealed, but it's safe to consume.
Got it. I would like to ask your opinion on something that you mentioned, but I've heard the other side of it, which is that you said CB1 and CB2, there's a karmic relationship between cannabis and CB1 and CB2.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Andrew Huberman has covered this topic vastly, and he says the other way around, where CB1 and CB2 are meant to take different cannabinoids, or what are they called, from your the brains that they produce organically without something that you take extrinsically.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Like, is there how do you come to that conclusion where CB1 and CB2 and cannabinoids or cannabis have a very strong relationship?
So it's proven in the scientific world that if so cannabis is a plant, and cannabinoids in the human body, there is a system in our body that's present. They were made to sort of marry because nature offers, and as I said, it's one of the 5 sacred herbs in Ayurveda, right? So nature offers medicines readily available, which do not require man-made creations, so to say, which bind with the body to alleviate stress and alleviate any levels of pain. Now, cannabis has certain molecules and compounds that bind with our body and these receptors to, I would say, catalyze the effect that the body anyway produces. But when you're in pain, you'd agree that you need more of a solution as compared to what your body is. That's why you're feeling the pain.
Correct.
In order to sort of get rid of the pain, you have to be able to take a natural polyherbal sort of formulation from what's available, put it in your body in certain dosing that reacts well and that offers you the much needed relief you're looking for.
How many people are opted in for clinical trials, and at what number do you say that this is safe to now take it to market?
So statistically, a consumption-based trial requires at least 30 to 50 subjects to call it safe. That's the bare minimum. For an application-based product, which is like creams, balms, you require even 20 and 30 statistically to say that this is working or not. So those are the numbers, I would say, between 30 and 50 largely. We try to shoot for more in our trials. Also because certain times, for example, Bohico's medicines, because we want the onset time to be much faster in a patient, we try to refrain from capsules and tablets and go to tinctures. Now, India is not very tincture friendly, right? And tinctures, just for everyone listening, is basically drops. It's an oil that you consume sublingually, which is under your tongue through a dropper. And there are markings on the dropper, let's say 0.25 ml, 0.5 ml. So it's important that the doctors learn this way of prescribing cannabis-based medicine and consumers take to it seamlessly because doctors have given them how much they need to consume. And once you consume anything under your tongue, notorious reasons also know it, but for when you consume anything under your tongue, your onset, it hits your bloodstream much faster. And if you were to eat something post that, it would sort of give you the much needed effect much sooner. So that's exactly what we have. We have tinctures because we want the onset time to be much faster in these trials as compared to the tablets or the soft gel capsules that are typically available. Though at Tata Memorial Center, because we're doing a capsule, basically it's a pain management sort of capsule that we have, which is just more acceptable as a form factor or a delivery format as compared to tinctures.
Got it. In terms of misconceptions, what are the misconceptions or information that you feel like everybody just keeps talking about, but it's not true really to him?
Well, so I'll tell you some fun stories through the last decade. when we first launched our product, it was in 2017. The first branded commercial product that Bohico took to market was in 2017, February. It was at the Kala Ghoda Festival in Mumbai. And, here's a bunch of like 7 guys that are that have no inkling towards fashion, no idea of it. And we've created like a fashion and living brand because we wanted to sort of have a rapid uptick in hemp as a fiber. So we launched an apparel-based brand. We exhibited at the Kala Ghoda Festival. We obviously had a website that supported it. And the first thing that we saw people do when they, so my pitch usually, and this is like 12 hours of pitching, telling people to buy hemp shirts in the heat of Mumbai in February, how hot it becomes. And here we are trying to tell people, sir, ma'am, would you know what hemp is? So they're like, what? Don't waste my time, And then you say, do you know what cannabis is? And then some people that are well-traveled might sort of say, what? And some people would even like just brush that away. And then when you say, sir, aapko bhang to pata hoga, kya hota hai? So that's when they sort of react to say that, okay, bhang bech rahe ho aap yahan pe? And I'm just like, हाँ भांग के कपड़े बेच रहे हैं हम यहाँ पे. So then they would first come in and they would, so unlike, how the mind would work, right? They would just take to the clothes and smell it for some reason to try and get like a whiff of this shenanigans that we have in Shivratri and Holi in this country. But it is culturally pretty deep-rooted, the plant, right? And we want to be able to provide that plant what it deserves because there's so much more. And that's the first thing that people used to do. And I remember this one time, it was in 2015, and Bohico was trying to see what it could probably get from neighboring countries or countries where products were pretty, flying off the roof. For example, like I said, hemp is a great source of nutrition. So we had the father of hemp in the world at that time, called Paul Benheim. He was an entrepreneur that used to run Hemp Foods Australia. And this guy, we contacted him once. He was the first person to actually give us hope, I'll be frank. Because in 2013 and 14, when we first started, this man was responding to our emails because we were the first ones from India. And he used to call us the hemp boys. So, he often came down to India to also sort of relay what we could do together. So as a result of that partnership, we brought some of his products down to India to sort of sensitize Indians. So we were at a farmer's market in Powai and Hirandani. And again, morning to evening, trying to sell off a weekend.
You can start from Hirandani.
Yeah. So we were at a farmer's market in Powai at Hirandani, and it was a morning to evening event. And somewhere early evening, about 4:35, the crowd started coming in. And these are all regular. At a farmer's market, you would typically find people that are responsible for making decisions in the kitchen, right? Who want to sort of take to a more organic, sustainable way of living, healthier diet. So, and we were just two of us. 2 co-founders, Yash and I. And, we were taking turns in pitching to like mobs of people because we were like, it's easier if 7 people are standing, we're addressing it all. And then whoever, wants to sort of make the purchase decision can. So, in a 5 to 7 minute elongated pitch that I made, a bunch of people standing before me and, everyone, once I completed my pitch, everyone who was listening, some of them bought, some of them knew about it. And by the end of it, I was left with one auntie, okay? Like I would say she was somewhere in her 50s or so. And she came to my ear and she just went like, hey, hemp to non-veg, innit? And I was just stunned by the end of it, right? I was like flabbergasted because I'm just jaw dropping, and I'm like, okay, this is really going to take a minute, and a long minute, in this country to come to fruition. So from those days all the way to now, where, like I said, even when, even if I were to send something your way post this interview, I'm not sure how open, at least our mindsets or our generation's quite open to trying and experimenting things. But there is they say that fashion works well on women. Why? Because men are so hardwired, right? Because and they don't want to take the new. They're not an experimental lot. So if I send you something, you may not take to trying some of our products, because it's just how people are. They're very attuned. You're banking with somebody, you just want to continue banking with them. You're taking to a medicine or a regime, you just want to continue. So even that's why the likes of, I would say, Imami, Dabar, Baidyanath, these are giants in our country, but they've existed for 100 years. And the Chavanprashas and the Vatikas and any other sort of household items have taken some time to really get to where they are. That's just how India is, and that's what surviving probably holds for us.
A quick question. Why didn't you go for a name that is more resonant in India? Like, hemp is a rather more modern term.
Yeah.
But we've had this culturally around in different forms and with different names. Why did you go with something that was rather more familiar? Something as simple as Vijaya?
Well, like I said, when we started off in 2013, we were largely a roti, kapra, makan, all out of one crop. The medical side of cannabis had not surfaced even in the West, let alone India, right? So when we started off, our goal was that, hey, we need to provide double income to farmers. We want to be able to take the terrains of India and fill them with industrial hemp. So everything was industrial in our mind back in the day, because 60% of our workforce as a country is employed rather with farming and agriculture, whereas it's contributing to early teens in the GDP. So when we sort of, and that's the only thing that we could sort of put one and one together, right? Like as economic students, we wanted to make sure that this gap or this sort of skewed ratio, we could do something better for. And while the goal and the end has always remained agriculture, currently also does, to be frank with you, the means that we chose was hemp. And Vijaya and everything Bhang related was actually the push or the fillip came in 2018 when licenses were starting to be given by the state department. So Madhya Pradesh is a territory that most of our manufacturing takes place in. And all the licenses only started coming in 2018. So when we started off, it was more like the Bombay dyeing reference point that we had. It was very close to Bombay dyeing that we came to the name of Bombay Hemp Company. We were at this CR2 mall back in the day, Bombay Central. We were all sitting, and it was, for so many decisions that have taken so long in the last 11 years, the name caught on to all the founders so seamlessly that in a coffee and 20 minutes thereafter, we knew it was Bombay Hemp.
That's good to know. Let's talk about your founding team, right?
Yes.
How many guys are you?
So we're 7.
7.
And there are 7, like, in any hemp or sort of cannabis graphic, you'll have 7 leaf petals. So it's not because of that, but yeah, it was just coincidental.
That's interesting. There's a saying, right? Like, if you're starting something out, you don't want more people than you can share a pizza with to start with.
For sure.
But you guys were 7 from the beginning, is it?
Yeah, we were 7 from the beginning. And the The reason why we were 7 is because, like I told you, we weren't just initiating some kind of project, or we weren't just starting a company. We were sort of changing the game for many other industries. We needed more hands on deck because somebody would be leaning towards research while somebody else would like to execute on the ground. So we needed that the wisdom from all hands, though we were so young. So there's nothing like wisdom back in the day, but neither is it now. Just trying our best every day.
Got it. Do you, for our young listeners who aspire to start a new company, because you come from a slightly, interesting founding space where you've not only taken up a journey which is away from tech, but it's also rooted in India.
Right.
What are the 3 takeaways that you would like to offer?
Okay, so I'll think about this and answer, but the first one is definitely that if you have an idea which is very challenging, which is very unique to your struggle, and there will be many people on the way that will tell you that, don't let your ego come in the way, it's not going to work out. If you have even that sliver of confidence that there will be a day where you will see your dream come true, stay the path, however difficult it is, because you never know whether this is going to pay you rich dividends or not. Like even today, I don't know where this is going to take me, but am I giving it my all? Is it what sort of is the reason for me to come into office every day? Is it something that is unparalleled to anything else I would be pursuing? Hell yeah. So just stay the path. And the second thing I would sort of let people know, or rather encourage people with, is that no one can teach you ambition. No one can teach you drive. No one can teach you hunger. It is very personal. It comes from a large part of your upbringing, a large part of the world that you've seen. So if you shoot higher with ambition, I think a large part of it is done, right? It's a job well done already. If you're shooting, and then you can't just shoot for high ambition, you've got to back it up. But just persistence, relentlessly staying at something that you want to achieve. And then there are people that have not made it as well after decades of efforts. But you got to be ready for everything that comes your way. You may not win, but are you enjoying it? Are you thinking you're making a difference? And do you have the means? I mean, you can't be oblivious to what your bank balance is and things like that. Honestly, you need the means to keep going. So to some degree, if there are sacrifices as well as, mental pleasures professionally, then just keep going.
You got it. Fair enough. Let's talk about the company a bit more.
Yes.
Ratan Tata was one of your early investors.
Yeah.
There's a very interesting clip on your YouTube channel where you share the story about how you strategized to get Ratan on board.
Yeah.
I would love for you to talk about that a bit.
Yes.
And just take us through the journey from how that strategy was deployed till the day he actually came on board. Yeah. And I believe it was a 9-month journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk more about those 9 months.
Yeah, 9 months. It has a connotation which is not very befitting here. But Mr. Tata, so the 7 of us always, and our first interaction with Mr. Tata dates back to, I think, 2010, when it was the 50 years of HR college. And all 7 co-founders were playing a part in making sure the college was celebrating 50 years in the right way. So we had a talk series where captains of industry, that time Deepak Parekh and the likes, would also come and sort of make an addressal to everybody who was interested. And in one such set up, we had met Mr. Tata. So Bohico came much after because we picked up roles, got placed from college, and all of us unanimously knew that if there was anybody who was synonymous to the legacy that we want to create with Bohico, it's Mr. Tata. So it was very clear that he's the man. Now, there was one event, I think it was somewhere in early 2015. At the time, this place was Blue Frog, and currently it's Toit. And it's funny because, our first physical footprint in the country is also next to a Toit, just in Bangalore, though. But dialing back, this was at Blue Frog. 3 of the co-founders out of the 7 that we had, said that we would be going here and we will try and see if we can break the ice with Mr. Tata. That was the idea. So it was, I would say, planned in a way where a couple of them would be asking the right kind of questions to the panel that was addressing, and Mr. Tata was on the panel, obviously. We're a good mix of cultures within the 7 of us as well. So there are a couple of Parsis, there are 3 Gujaratis, 1 Punjabi, we have 1 Sindhi, right? So we've got a pretty diverse sort of set of people. And what happened is one of the Parsis was amongst these 3, and that was sort of planned. He was keeping a watch, Jahan, was keeping a watch on Mr. Tata. And, just as an entrepreneur needs to be opportunistic and impulsive in the same vein, the guy rushes to the loo when he saw Mr. Tata go to the loo. And once they both finished their business, he offered a quick elevator pitch to Mr. Tata in a time that he got, maybe 25-30 seconds, and handed his card over to Mr. Tata, and Mr. Tata handed a card back to him. And from then to us actually meeting Mr. Tata in the office at Horniman Circle, it took about 8 months of writing mails constantly to the secretary of Mr. Tata.
What were those emails?
Those emails were largely about, following our discussion, and it was great to meet you. And following our discussion, we would love to understand if you could support a pioneering set of founders as us, because we want to create something that will definitely require the blessings of someone like you. So
when did you get the first response on that email?
So we kept getting responses.
Okay.
Yeah, we kept getting responses. A very professional team handles his schedule, right? So we kept getting responses, but it was only in the 8th month that we got a first meeting. I think it was somewhere in July of 2015, if my dates are right. And then there too, there was just at the first go, there were 3 co-founders that went, and he was so thrilled by everything that they said to him that in the following month in August, I personally had a chance to go with all the 6 other co-founders to hand him a hemp shirt and to be listening to his nod of coming on board. And then few months following that, we had the investment in, because then we were guided through with his investment team to take certain conversations ahead. But that was him. And he didn't only, let me tell you this also, he didn't only come in the capacity of a personal investor and the first one for Bohico. He also was gracious enough to help support all the research that we conduct to create the bedrock of the industry, which is the hemp seed, right? Like today, all of us consume basmati rice. Basmati is got a patent. Before that, all our mums would go to the ration shop and buy different races of rice, if you recall. So similarly, he also granted us trust capital to conduct research, which with one of the most marquee sort of government bodies we are running in Lucknow right now. It is seed breeding a low THC variety of hemp, which all farmers can grow in this country, which is going to be the bedrock of the industry, because cotton has a seed today is why it's growing so formally and in a standard way. Similarly, hemp will have one as well. And we're about a year or so out from that, the genetics, the parent line to be in place for that.
Explain that a bit.
So, like I said, today, all the hemp that grows in the country is wild. It's feral. It's collected. There's a certain amount of cultivations that are taking place, but it is research and very small. But a lot of it is wild and feral today. So, in order for it to grow consistently, like today you walk in a paddy farm, you see this consistent growth of paddy, right? The same thing doesn't apply necessarily to hemp today. In order for us to see that day, you need to develop an indigenous variety that grows consistently and in a standard way. So that's what Bohico is vying for, to be able to solve for the complexity that doesn't that doesn't have a solution today, as well as at the same time capture enough consumer mind space, so that when both of these things happen, we're probably at both ends of the value chain and sort of winning a bit.
Got it. So you guys are leading the hemp revolution, if I may say.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I would love to know more about, okay, it's one thing to have someone like Ratan Tata as an investor and to guide you through the journey, but I would love to know more about the political aspect of exploring this business. Could you shed more light on that?
Yes. So, in fact, it's very timely that you asked this, because it's as recent as a couple of months ago where the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh came out to speak to the media about how the state is keen to look into the medical cultivation of cannabis for medical purpose, which essentially is to say that even today, as per the law, this is a state subject. So any state government has the right to create a policy that enables the farmers or companies, whether it's big pharma or companies like Bohico, to actually take a license and cultivate formal flower that can go into the assembly lines of big pharma or, again, Ayurvedic companies like ours, where standardization of the crop is a must. Standardization of the medicine is a must, so that there are no two effects on anybody, right? Like I was explaining earlier, this would mean a lot more potent material than even Bhang, because Bhang is not as rich with THC and CBD content as the flower is. So Himachal Pradesh, from a legislative, regulatory perspective, is definitely one of the front runners. And given our intervention and, we as industry partners, from 2016 up until 2018, Uttarakhand was the first state government to provide for a policy for industrial hemp cultivation in this country. So currently, all the commercial cultivation that even Bohico engages in through farmers of those states is thanks to the research project that we're carrying out for the seed breeding program in Lucknow, and the commercial cultivation in smaller plots that we do in Uttarakhand, because in 2018, Uttarakhand announced an industrial hemp policy, which now companies like ours and farmers are benefiting with and growing raw material to sell it in main market.
Thank you, Mr. Chirag, for this lovely conversation. It was so fascinating to unearth some of these things. And I hope Bohico leads the front lines in terms of leading the hemp revolution that is happening here. I would love to get you on board maybe 1 year down the line when you have developed the seeds that you've been talking about and we are seeing more of hemp around.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks so much for making this so seamless and easy. It's really been a pleasure to just sit here and speak with you on this Sunday afternoon. And can't thank you guys enough for putting stories like ours out there. Thank you so much.
The pleasure was ours. Listeners, thank you for staying tuned in. If you like what you hear, do share and subscribe. And please let us know in comments below what more you would like us to cover. If there are any specific people you would like us to bring on board, we'd be happy to hear from you.